now recording, and we've got the participants. Okay, so round two for those that are with us here. Okay, everyone says they can see the text. What I wanted to do for today is to do a very wonderful piece from Rav Kluger, who lives in Eretz Yisrael, and this is from one of his Sfarim, and even though I don't have Sfarim with me, thank God online you can track down a lot of Sfarim over here as well. And this was a number of lectures that he gave years ago. He's a big tzaddik who lives in Yerushalayim. And I want to just go through this piece. It's such a beautiful piece. And I don't know if we're going to finish it all today. And if we don't finish it today, I still have a shiur coming up about a half an hour before Shavuos on Thursday. And we'll continue with this. It's got so many just beautiful ideas. And through the piece, it answers so many questions or explains so many ideas about Shavuos. And it really follows up nicely from what the Mesil Shasharm's been talking about and gives us a good approach to the beauty of the holiday of Shavuos. So we're just going to learn it together. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions. And this is about, it's about an 8 to 10 page lecture. So we'll see how far we can get, but every couple of pages is another good chunk. So we'll see how far we can get. So I'm gonna summarize certain parts, and certain parts I'll be reading inside so we can move along a little faster. But the first thing Rav Kluger talks about, he says every holiday gives off a special energy, and every holiday has a particular mitzvah that is the channel of that energy for us. So we know Pesach, it's the energy of freedom. So matzah has something to do with that. Sukkot is the energy of simcha. So somehow the mitzvah object of the sukkah and the 4 species have to do with that. Rosh Hashanah has the shofar. Every holiday's got some kind of critical object, icon that represents this holiday in terms of what we do action-wise. Shavuos is not one of those. Shavuos does not have a unique mitzvah. That's what he says. Shavuos ein mitzvah miyuchedes. There's nothing unique about Shavuos. I know we eat cheesecake, but that's not a mitzvah. It's a minhag. It's a custom. I know we read the Aseres Hadibros. Okay, because that's the Inyana Diyoma. That's the topic of Shavuos. But we read from the Torah on every holiday. We don't work on Yom Tov like on Shavuos. We don't work on other Yom Tov. But really, there's no unique icon. I know, yeah, we got the 2 tablets. That's an icon, but we don't take 2 tablets out. We don't take 2 tablets out of the ark and read, and have Hashem give the Torah sign. And we just don't have that. Every other holiday has an object in which we celebrate that's unique to the holiday. And there's nothing really unique about Shavuos beyond what we do on any other Yom Tov. So why is this? So he explains, and all where the arrow's pointing, all these yellow highlighted area. He says, Ki hashpas Yom Tov Shavuos, because the influence, the energy of Shavuos, he kol kach shorshis, it's so fundamentally the root of Yiddishkeit. V'chol kach yesodis, it's so fundamental. So nita levate yosod b'mitzvah achas b'yusevus. We can't express it with one specific unique mitzvah. Zoe hashpah shorashis, it's a root influence. Shekoleles es kol rov de'achayim, that incorporates all layers of your life. In other words, Pesach is one aspect of Yiddishkeit. There's one aspect of Yiddishkeit. You want to say your emunah, your freedom. That's one aspect. It's important, but you're going to see it's not as fundamental. Sukkot also deals with certain issues of emunah, bitachon, simcha. Very important, but not as all-encompassing and all-fundamental. As he continues and says, Shavuos is when we cut a covenant with Hashem, and we tie ourselves to Hashem. And he says that Matan Torah haya bris nisuin ben HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. The giving of the Torah was a marriage covenant between Hashem and the Jewish people. Just like an Isha Shenisas Labala, when a woman marries her husband, When a woman marries a husband, it's not just for in a few areas. I'm your husband, I'm your wife, that we can be happy together. I'm a wife so we can be free to do things together. That's an aspect of marriage. But when a woman really gets married, the woman now subjugates and ties every detail of her life to her husband. When you get married, you're giving your whole life to that person. It's not an aspect of your life, hopefully, the marriage. I mean, nowadays, I can't guarantee that. But that's not the way marriage is supposed to be. Woman gets married. I mean, it's a man too, but remember, the analogy is Hashem is the groom and the Jews are the bride. So we're looking from the bride's perspective. The bride says, you know what? I'm all yours. I'm all yours. My whole life is going to revolve around you. Now, don't forget, the groom is the same. Don't forget, the groom's the same. Hashem is the same too. Don't think Hashem is expecting everything from us. He's not doing anything. He's supplying a lot. But what's our expectations? So that's in a marriage. So kach b'matan Torah, just like in the Matan Torah, Am Yisrael kosher is called Chem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They invested their whole lives in Hashem. And HaKesher v'hamechuyavo shel isha labala, the connection and the obligations that a woman has to her husbands, hey mahusim v'atzmim kol, they're so essential. They're so critical. Misbatim b'chom alecha. They express themselves in everything that she does. When you're married, it's not like, okay, so I'll do a couple things with my husband. I'll do a few things for my husband. I got my life, I got my career, I got everything. And in a couple areas, I'll do something for this man. Now, I know, unfortunately, that's the way many marriages are today. But that's not the way marriage is supposed to be. We got to undo some misconceptions here. The woman knows that this is my life partner. And anything I do, I take it in my husband's life in strong consideration. I don't lift a finger without considering how will it affect my relationship with my husband, and the same for the husband and the wife. Again, I'm not saying it's one-sided here. And Hashem, everything that he does is only for one purpose. What's the best thing I can do for the Jewish people? Everything she does, even the smallest thing, it's just what the husband likes and wants. Similarly, since we got the Torah, we are totally tied and obliged to Hashem. Same with our entire essence. Every action, every part of our lives are conducted by the will of Hashem. From the giving of the Torah, we don't only give Hashem our spiritual part of our lives, such as Torah, Tefillah, davening, and learning, which certainly are mechuber Hashem, so that connects us to Hashem. But we're so tied to Him, every single detail of our lives. Even the physical details, as mundane and physical as it is, they're attached and connected to Hashem. Just like marriage, the woman, everything she does is in one way or another connected to her husband. Doesn't mean to say she can't have a career, but the career fits into the overall relationship with the husband. And every big or little thing she does is done with understanding that's a relationship with the husband. So too it is with Hashem. So this already explains why there's no singular mitzvah for Shavuos. It's not just one aspect of the relationship that's being focused on like it is on other Yomim Tovim, but Shavuos is focusing on the entire essential part of the relationship. And when it's a relationship that everything about you is invested into that relationship, why would you limit it to one particular activity? That's why there's no specific one item that is representing the celebration of this marriage that happened. Okay, that explains one aspect. Now we're going to explain a second aspect. So before Matan Torah, Hashem commanded Moshe to tell the Jews for Hagbalah. We're starting the Shlosha Shemei Hagbalah. We're in the 3 days of preparation. Where the purple Hagbalah means a gvul, a boundary from the mountain. And on a number of occasions, Hashem says it 3 times, no less. Stay away from the mountain, stay away from the mountain, stay away from the mountain. For 3 days, stay away. And when I come down to Sinai, stay away, lest a terrible calamity happens. And this seems to be part and parcel of the receiving of the Torah. And the question is, what? What is that about? So part of it was preparation. You need days to prepare. But this idea of Hagbalah, stay away from the mountain. Now, this is an incredibly spiritual mountain, Har Sinai, especially now. Hashem's about to give the Torah in Har Sinai. So why is Hashem pushing us away from the mountain? If anything, let's all get on top of the mountain. So he says like this in the yellow. Shemitzvahs Hagbalah hi chelek bilti nifrod matan Torah. The mitzvah of separating is it's an inseparable part of the receiving of the Torah. Hashem Yisbarach Yada. Hashem knew. Kishi's Galilam Yisrael, when he will reveal himself to the Jews, that incredibly pleasurable spiritual energy will come. With their great longing for Hashem. They're going to want to separate from this world. They want to leave this world and just go to the mountain. The energy is so pleasurable. It's a magnet to their souls. They just want to leave this world. To cling only to spirituality. And Hashem warns that that's not what I want. I'm not interested in angels. I got 22,000 angels that already brought down the mountain with me. I got enough angels up here. Hashem wants the Jews to be where they are. Don't come closer. Why? Said to live in this world. And in this world, they will reveal divinity. And that's why right after they got the Torah, what do you think they did right after they got the Torah? You think they went to the Beis Medrash and started learning? No. Hashem says, everybody go back to your tents. And what does it mean? Every husband, go back to your wife and be intimate with your wife. Go back and live a normal life. And he says, the goal of Matan Torah is shenichya chaim gashmin, is to live a physical world, and there you will reveal the honor of Hashem. So this is the inyan of Hagbalah. It is not to get carried away with the spirituality to the point of excluding ourselves from being involved in the physical world. Now, more than this, we know that Hashem, at Pesach time, took us out of Egypt, and he revealed that there's a God. That's amazing. And in Egypt then, the Jews went into the desolate desert. Now, what do we know about a desolate desert? A land that can't produce anything. And the land expresses the most physical aspects of this world. That's what a desert is. And also, a person is extremely physical. And in this very physical world of the desert and of the human being, it's there that Hashem revealed himself. And he surrounded us with clouds of glory, and we ate manna from the heavens. And then he says, even though the physical part of their lives was really desolate at this point. But b'matan Torah, but when we got the Torah, kibalnu es hakoach, now we got the ability legalos es elokus b'soch hagashmis, to reveal divinity in the physical realm. Lichios es hachayim hagashmi shlona im chibur l'Hashem. We can live a physical world with a connection to Hashem. Hashem first put us in the desert because you know what? You don't know what to do in this world. You are God of Egypt. You have no idea what to do in the physical world. And Hashem put us in a place that is totally desolate. But now that you got the Torah, now you'll be able to be involved with the world. And what's going to be the ultimate goal? Hashem did not plan on us staying in the desert for long. But Shleimus Ki Em Chayenu Eretz Yisrael, the complete perfection of doing the Torah is what? In Eretz Yisrael. Because there's so many mitzvahs that are connected to the land of Eretz Yisrael that you can only do in Eretz Yisrael. And the whole goal of giving us the Torah was for one reason only, to go into civilization, to the cradle of civilization, and live in the land of Israel, each man under his vine tree, each one under his fig tree. V'asafta deganecha, harvest your grain. V'siroshecha v'yitzarecha, be farmers, live a normal life, but reveal divinity in that normal life. And that's what it says in Parshas Vaschanan. We say this always on Simchas Torah. At Areis Ladas, you were made to know at Sinai revelation that Hashem is Elohim and there is none others but Him. Ein od milvado. So what does that mean? We know that when Hashem gave us the Torah at Sinai, He opened up the 7 firmaments to us, and we could see to the ends of the universe. That's what Hashem let us see, that vision at Sinai. And we saw in Matan Torah that God's divinity is everywhere. B'dargas ruchanis, on the highest spiritual levels, Bashamayim mimal, you were shown that God is the God, Bashamayim, the heavens above, and also al haaretz mitachas, on the land below, with simple activities. Because in either one, that's what you were made to show. Kashem Elohim, Hashem's your God, in the heavens above and in the world below. Wherever situation you're in, that's where you have a relationship with Hashem. And that's what you should know and put it into your heart, that Hashem is the God, Bashamayim mimal, Ba'al haaretz mitachas, in the heavenly realm and in the physical realm. It's no difference. You're no more spiritual if you're looking at the heavens or if you're looking at planet Earth and you're in there. And that's the difference between us and the non-Jewish world. As David HaMelech says in Tehillim, he says, Ram al kol goyim Hashem al shamayim kvodo. Hashem is so lofty over all the nations. His heavens, His glory is in the heavens, which means that the non-Jews, they certainly can recognize there's a God, but they figure the only way you can connect to God is by going up to the heavens. And when you leave this world, that's when you can serve God. That's how you get close to God, by leaving this world, by having a monastic life. But we don't know. We say differently as we continue in the Hallel. We say, Mi Hashem Elokeinu hamagbi'i l'sheves, who's like Hashem who's way up in the heavens, but still looks down to see what's going on in the world. Only us that Hashem revealed. Divinity, that spirituality is buried in physical, simple, mundane activities. And can also connect Hashem in that way. Now we'll see another custom on Shavuos. And the custom is we bring flowers into our house. Flowers into our house. Why? One of the reasons is, B'matan Torah tzamchu asavim saviv har Sinai. Grass grew around Mount Sinai before we got the Torah. So we want to remember there's vegetation. So we bring some vegetation into our homes. So now why did Hashem bring vegetation at Mount Sinai? We know Admas HaMidbar hatzmicha kama l'tchiyah. Hatzchicha tzama l'tchiyah. The desert that was like mamish dead just woke up, came to life. What's the message Hashem is sending us? Hashem is expressing to the Jews, Sha'am Yisrael Kiblu, that by us taking the Torah, we have received the Echolas Galos as Hachius Halokis Besochaitis. We can reveal the life force within earthliness. Betoch Gashmizom, in the physical of this world. And therefore, the custom is to decorate the Shul or our homes with the grasses in the honor of Shavuos, to remember the grass that grew around our Sinai, where we're saying that once we got the Torah, we can bring the desert to bloom. We can take the most dead gashmias, where there's no vestige of godliness, and we can have grass growing there. That's what the power of Torah mitzvahs. And we're using that in this world. We can make the world a divine place. And look at other things we do. We use, what do you make tefillin from? What do you make a sefer Torah from? A dead carcass of an animal. Now, a dead carcass of an animal is about the most furthest removed from spirituality. And we take the dead carcass of an animal, make talis and make tefillin and mezuzahs and all these sefer Torahs. We take plants to make the 4 species for sukkahs. That's a mitzvah. We give tzedakah with money. We do kindness with our bodies. We honor the Shabbos by eating foods. You can't do the Torah without the physical world. And that's why the grass is growing. That's why we bring the vegetation into the shul, into our home, to say that Torah can bring the earth to life. So which really means that with Matan Torah, because we got married to Hashem, and we're all in with our relationship with Hashem, that's why there's no specific iconic mitzvah, and we're here meant to be in this world and not to leave our souls and come to the mountain of Sinai and to live spiritual lives in a monastery, but to live in this world. And the grass that we bring in, the plants we bring in, means that through our connection to Hashem in this world, we'll make the desert bloom. We'll give life to all of physicality. And that's how we end this section of God. Because a simple activity connects us to Hashem. Second point. Next point. He brings down that the Sikkim talk about how we shouldn't overemphasize taking pleasure in this world. And they say the famous Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, before he died, he lifted his 10 fingers up and said to Hashem, you know, I didn't take advantage of this world, even my little pinky. But they also said, since Rabbi Yehuda was a prince, Yehuda Nasi was a prince, his house was full of all the best foods at the royal table. So how do you understand that? He had a house full of the best food in the world, out of season, in season, but yet they didn't enjoy any of it for himself. The answer is, and this is a very important yesod that Rav Kluger says now. He says we have to understand the concepts Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. The simple meaning of Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, Olam Hazeh means this world, the world we live here. Olam Haba is going to be the next world. But he says it's not necessarily only that Olam Haba is only a world when you leave this world. He says no. Even when you're alive here on planet Earth, there is a concept, yes, of this world, which is the external realities of life, gashmias, physicality, that's true. But there's also v'yesh olam haba, there is olam haba right here on planet Earth. Next page. Shu pnimius olam, it's the inner context of this world, which is hamatzias haruchani shalom, is the spiritual content of the world. Olam haba is here and now. Olam haba is the spiritual reality of existence. He says a Jew who takes benefit from this world, and if the pleasure of the body can be an expression of a physical pleasure and a spiritual pleasure. And that pleasure can be one of holiness, and it can bond this world and the next world together. And he gives a couple examples. Let's say a Jew, a Jew benefits from the beautiful foods on Shabbos. And he has the right intention. Every time he takes a spoon, he says, L'kovet Shabbos Kodesh. He fulfills the mitzvah of taking delight in the Shabbos. Now what happens? Haguf nahena, the body has had pleasure. But that's only an external expression of the pleasure of the soul. The soul is enjoying what? A taste of the world to come. Shabbos is a taste of the world to come. The soul's feeling that, while the body's enjoying this world. The truth is, even when a Jew eats during a weekday, but when you make a bracha before the food, hamotzi lechem min aretz, or whatever, or a bracha achrona after the food. And when he's making those blessings, he's declaring that it's clear to me that Hashem, you're the one who gives me the food in your goodness, with chen, b'chesed, b'rachamim, with kindness. Kili olam chasto, your kindness is eternal. And the physical pleasure I get is just an external expression of the soul's delight of the kindness of Hashem. You're having a spiritual reality of Olam Haba in this world. And this is important, to not see a dichotomy between Olam Haza and Olam Haba. Olam Haba, why is it called the world to come? Because in that state, that will be the only reality we have, be the primary reality. But in Olam Haza, you can have Olam Haba and Olam Haza too. The spiritual realities are no less possible to be attained in this world. And the Torah is very careful about this. Torah warns us, don't separate this world from Olam Haba. And often it seems in the Torah, it seems mistakenly that mitzvahs and davening, that connects us to Hashem. But physical things like eating and parnosa and marriage, that's private, my private business. You might think there is this dichotomy, that part of my life is spiritual and part of my life is mundane. And the Torah says, no. The Torah says, Kedoshim Tiyu. What does Kedoshim Tiyu mean? The holy Kaddish Atzmacha b'mutolach. Sanctify yourself with that which are permitted. Which means that we're commanded to connect the Derivrei Rishus L'Kedusha. The neutral things have to also be involved in Kedusha. And what the Torah is saying is to turn our whole lives upside down. That even in the physical world that we feel is our world, it has to be l'miksha achas shel chiver l'Hashem Yisrael. It's one solid block of connection to Hashem. Chai Olam Haba. In this world, it's not just Olam Haza, and we're waiting for Olam Haba next world. No, even in the mundane Olam Haza things, there's the expression of Olam Haba as well in that. And that's why there is no two realms. It's just one cohesive unit. It's very important because a lot of people are challenged with spiritual schizophrenia. On the one hand, they like the spiritual stuff, but when they're engaged in spiritual stuff, the body's on hold waiting for its turn. And it's a little bit anxious. And then when you're doing physical things, eating a good meal, people think I'm not doing anything spiritual. And you feel, well, it's one or the other. And then there's conflict. The tzaddik here is saying there's no conflict. It's one solid block. We have two psukim that seem to contradict themselves. Gemara and Brachos. It says, Hashem ha'aretz u'malah. To Hashem is everything in the world and all its inhabitation. So it seems that this world belongs to Hashem. But there's another passage that says, Shemayim Shemayim l'Hashem, or it's a son of Adam. The heavens belong to Hashem. The earth goes to man. So what is that? So what is it? Is it Hashem's land or is it man's land? So the rabbis answer it. Depends. Before you make a bracha, it's God's world. After you make a bracha, it's our world. And anyone who enjoys this world out of bracha, it's like you're stealing from Hashem. That's the Gemara. But there still remains a question, asks Rav Kluger. He asks, how can we say that the world is Hashem's? It doesn't end up being in Hashem's hands. Because Hashem has it destined, it's destined, it's meant to go to man once he makes the bracha. How can you say the earth belongs to Hashem? Hashem's plan is man should make a bracha and it belongs to man. So why are we saying the world is all Hashem's? No, but Hashem wants us to make brachas. Do you think Hashem wants to have a world without making brachas? He wants us to make brachas. So he wants to make brachas. Why do you even say that it's Hashem's world? But the rabbis are teaching us something very important. When a Jew makes a bracha and recognizes, that's what the bracha is about, that he is taking pleasure from God's creation and from God's kindness. He says, Ba'ofen kazeh, in this way, ha'olam hazeh nishal Hashem, it's still God's world. Gam shehu nitan l'bnei, even if Hashem gives it to man, we still know it's God's world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu nasan asar Adam, Hashem gave us the world to just reveal that it is God's. You understand? We're not separating the world from God. We don't say what we're doing in this world has nothing to do with Hashem. We make a bracha saying it is. This world is God's, period. It says, yeah, Hashem gave it to us to merely reveal that it's his. So that means that even in this world, in the physical engagement of this world, there is this interconnection between the spiritual realm, that it is always the spiritual realm of God's, no matter how physical we are. It's just meant to acknowledge God's spiritual control over the world. And therefore, this concept of blessings before things that you enjoy is applicable in all areas of life, even in physical things where we don't make any brachas. Because again, we know that everything in this world has an inner content that's meant to reveal Hashem, and we are attaching that godly aspect to those things. So therefore, back to Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi was so rich, he was so rich that they said from Moshe Rabbeinu until Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, there wasn't anybody who had Torah and monetary wealth and power of greatness at the same level. And still yet he testified that I didn't do anything to have my own personal pleasure. What does that mean? So he says, Chayev Shal Rebbe, the life of Judah the Prince, was one solid block of Torah and connection to Hashem. Ashiruse Harbe, his great wealth, wasn't something separate. Torah Sugdulasa, his Torah, and the physical stature was one place, was one block. Kol Ashirusa Gadlusa, all the wealth and the greatness, was an expression of God's honor, which is Hanas Olam Haba, which is the pleasure of this world. That's what we're saying. He's able to put Olam Haza and Olam Haba together. Just like it says with Shlomo Melech in Sefer Malachim, that the royal court, the royal table of Shlomo Melech had amazing things. And Shlomo Melech in Ecclesiastes, he says, although he had great wealth, he says, everything is Hakol Hevel, Tachas HaShemesh, everything is nothing under the sun. What does he mean to say? He says, because all the wealth and all the flow that was in his place was only a revelation of Hashem Ha'aretz U'Mloah. It's all Hashem's. So therefore, Hashem created a world with so many good things, and he wants to give us so much. But here's the important point. Ritzoni Yisbarach Hu, Hashem's desire, she is a shefa, but it's a flow of blessing. What kind of blessing does Hashem want? I love, that connects us to him. Makor HaShefa, the source of the bounty. V'amachayas hagufes of the Shavuos Yachad, giving life to the body and the soul together. Hashem wants to give us all this for the purpose of connecting. The way the husband wants to give everything to the wife, so that the wife will want to be connected to the husband in every aspect of her life. Hashem Yisbarach Nasalon Eretz Yisrael. Hashem gave us the land of Eretz Yisrael, a land that's blessed with all the good things in the world. The Torah says, I'm going to bring you to a good land with flowing valleys and springs, and a land of Eretz, Chita, Sar, the 7 species. A land that will not be missing anything. And in the month of Nisan, we make the special bracha on the blooming trees. In Toronto, not in Nisan, but now you still can do it, by the way. I just made it a couple days ago. Now the trees are really beginning to bud and to bloom. And part of the bracha on the trees is, Lo chaser v'lo maklum. There's nothing missing in this world. Ubarabo brios tovos v'ilon tovos. Hashem created wonderful creations of trees. The key is, to give man pleasure. Hashem wants us to enjoy the world. But you got to be careful. Hashem's giving us all these blessings to connect, but be careful. He says, eat, satiate, but then bless Hashem for all the good. You see, what's the point? Hashem gives us all the blessings so it can bring us to be close to Hashem. That's what it's about. That's what Hashem is doing for us. And Hashem, 2 weeks ago, the Torah portion went, if we follow Hashem's way, everything will be fine. You're going to harvest, and everything's going to be amazing, and you're going to open up everything, and you're going to make all these kinds of brachas. We got to remember that Hashem's the one who gives us all this success. And Hashem does not want us. Hashem does not want us to have a life of abstinence and self-flagellation. He created a world with so much good so that we should benefit it. And the Medrash Yerushalmi says that everyone's going to be called to task for any pleasure they did not enjoy in this world that Hashem wanted us to enjoy. Hashem wants us to eat and drink and have nice clothes and have good parnasa, have a family, have joy, have good friends. But it should be a pleasure of the body that comes with the pleasure of the soul that connects to the blessings of Hashem. So the Torah now gives us this ability to have a complete life. This is the sort of introduction, the base level. Now that we have this, now we can really take things to the next level now. We can take things really next level and really understand how the Torah does this. Where's the Torah fitting into all this? And now he discusses some feelings that we may have that are negative feelings. He says, sometimes we feel, we have this reaction that Hashem is giving us lives full of different situations that are difficult, ones that are contentious. Well, we feel Hashem's making life hard on me. And also, on top of that, he's given us a lot of mitzvahs to really give us a lot of work. Some people, use expressions of, halachic problems. A person wants to act in a certain way, right? But, the Torah is making problems. Can a Jew do these kinds of things? Sometimes a person asks, if Hashem really loves us so much and wants us to have good, how come he gave us such a overbearing Torah with so many details? Every step of our lives, he dictates everything. He tells me which shoe I put on first, which shoe I tie on first. 630 mitzvahs, thousands of rabbinic laws. Hashem, you want me to enjoy life? Let me enjoy life. What are you giving me so many things to do? So he gives a beautiful analogy. What if somebody gives you a really, you've been used to driving a car that's always about 20 years old. And then one day somebody gives you a brand new 2021 car. And you have no idea what all the latest modern conveniences are. You don't even know, you can't even find the key because there's no key to the car. And it comes this instruction manual. And the person who gives you this car says, you got to read this manual. So would the guy ever think to say, why am I so hard on me that I got to read all these rules? Why do I got to know what tire pressure is? Why do I got to know what oil changes are? What do I got to know about brake systems? What do you give me all these rules, this book of rules? Just let me have the car. Of course, nobody would be foolish enough to make such a statement. Because you got to learn how to use the car. You want to use the car in a way that you're really going to enjoy it. You know how to use the cruise control. I have to admit, I never use cruise control. I don't know. I just never got around to it. I imagine cruise control makes life a lot easier. I didn't want to bother figuring out how to do cruise control. But if I would be willing to bother, it'd probably make my life a little easier. So when you're being given the manual of instructions, it's not meant to make it harder to drive the car. It's meant for you to benefit in using the car. You got the computer. Some people just think it's just a typewriter. It's a word processor, but it can do so much for you if you just would bother to read the rules. It will make life easier for you. So similarly, our lives, he says, our lives are very complicated. Why? Because we are mukavim meguf and neshama. We're combined with a body and a soul. Each one is pulling in its direction. The body wants you to have lots of physical pleasure. And the soul, the divine part from Hashem, wants to just be connected to Hashem and doesn't want anything else, just wants to be close to Hashem. How do we deal with these two conflicting issues within our own lives? And here's the point. The Torah is not here to make our lives hard and to give us halachic problems, but the exact opposite. The Torah comes to unify and make peace between the body and the soul. It teaches us how to have a life that's good for the body and good for the soul. As it says, the ways of the Torah are pleasant, all its ways are peaceful. The Torah is what gives the possibility of peace between the body and the soul. And it gives us the ability to have a good and sweet life, only with the Torah. And therefore he says a Jew who's totally invested in physicality of this world is not good because the soul is starving. On the other hand, a Jew who's just separating himself from the world and lives a life of abstinence, the body is feeling pain. And this is what people don't realize about Torah. HaTorah Kedosha melamedes osanu lichios chaim mu'uzanim. The Torah teaches us how to live a balanced life. Frum and balanced. Hamasbim es haguf es neshama, that satiate the body and the soul. It teaches us how to live in this world. Even when we are connected to Hashem, living in Olam House and Olam at the same time. And he gives a number of examples. Let's take a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah, eat, be satiated, and bless. Okay, so there's a mitzvah there. Bench. Now, a Jew who, God forbid, eats a really big gluttonous meal without a bracha before and without a bracha afterwards, lo yagia l'sovei meat, it doesn't come to true satiation. Why? Ki lo heizin es nishmaso. He didn't nourish his soul. And the soul is still starving. He didn't give anything for his soul. But a Jew washes his hands and makes a bracha before the food. It makes a bracha after the food. The body is full from the physical food, and the soul is full from the incredible feeling of the expression of your emunah in Hashem, which is laid in the benching. He gives us sustenance every minute. So we're filling ourselves with emunah and bidachon while we're eating the food. That's frum and balanced. Dugman is another example. We have to make parnasa for ourselves and for our families. So Yehudi Shovet bishvil lichios v'chai bishvil lavo rachmos, a Jew who works just so he could live and work. Why are you working? So I can live. Why are you living? So I can work. Margish tchushas reikonas harah. He's going to feel a very awesome emptiness. Nishbas forever. The soul is starving. HaTorah nasedes say izu nachon. The Torah gives the right balance. What's the balance? Sheishes yamim tavot. 6 days you work. Vasisa komlach. Get all your work done. But the 7th day is a Shabbos for Hashem. We work for our parnasa 6 days of the week, but on Shabbos we rest. It's an os, it's a sign. What's a sign? It's a sign that the reason we're making parnasa is only to fulfill the will of Hashem. Shabbos masricha emuna uktusha l'toch hamalacha. The Shabbos shines emuna and holiness into the work of the 6 days of the week. That's what the Shabbos is doing. It's making the 6 days meaningful. When we're working, we're careful not to charge interest. We're careful not to cheat people in business, to steal, and to make sure to give tzedakah. And we put life and spirituality into the 6 days in a week, and that's how you balance it. A man has to, somebody I think could mute themselves would be good, please. So the Jews, you need to get married. You need to have a family. It all has to be like halacha. But once it becomes halacha, it makes the family life filled with kedusha, holiness, and the body and soul are together. It's interesting. We read the klolos, we read the curses a couple weeks ago. We shouldn't make a mistake and think that Hashem wants to hurt us. But rather what Hashem is doing, he's just revealing to us what the natural consequences will be if we do not connect the Torah and kedusha together to our physical existence. If we fail to make this frum and balanced approach to life, there's going to be all kinds of problems. Because Yehudi Shu Chelik Al Kamimal, since a Jew is a portion of God on high, and you're supposed to be connected to Hashem, a Jew cannot tolerate being separated from the source of his existence. And the curses is just a very precise description of the spiritual plight of a person who's destined from Hashem, God forbid. And as we always say, the Torah is the length of your days, your life. Choose life. Only when we cleave to Hashem do we have a good life. Okay, now this gets more into, so that the idea of balance. Hashem says, you're Jews, you're human beings, I want you to have the best life. If you address, the Torah always balances addressing the body, addressing the soul equally, and all Hashem wants you is this good life that you will get by following the Torah. Now, this next part really relates to our situation here. Let's see if we can get a lot of this in. Yesh matzavim, there's certain situations in life. Sometimes we look at certain situations in life that we think that our reality in the present situation is one bedochach. It's like kind of pressed. It's not an optimal situation. For example, on a shomrim es haTorah ves halach, we follow the Torah, we follow the halach. It seems like it's like after the fact. And really maybe better if everything would be different. So he gives an example. Yehudi shechayv so ba'ambulance b'Shabbos. A Jew has to take an ambulance on Shabbos. Let's say somebody's very sick. Let's say your wife's having a baby. Now, you know, when your wife's having a baby, or if you know, God forbid, someone's got a heart attack, you know it's Shabbos, and you know you've got an obligation to go to the hospital. But you might have a reaction like, I don't have a choice, I have to go. But wouldn't it have been a lot better if I wouldn't have to take someone to the hospital? Dear, couldn't you have the baby on a Monday? Like, can't you, I'm getting these contractions. Dear, can't you wait till Shabbos is over? Oh, I got to go on Shabbos. I'm going to mess up the whole Shabbos. Oh, I guess we got to do it. And it seems the person thinks, Hashem, if Hashem, you really like me, you'd have my wife delivered on a Monday. Hashem, if you really liked me, you wouldn't make the emergency be on Shabbos. People can make a mistake and think the situation we're in, of course, we're Jews. We have to follow the Torah. But why are you putting me in a b'diavad situation? Is this the way I'm supposed to keep Shabbos? But the truth is, we know that Hashem sustains us with every moment of life. And Hashem expects us to integrate the physical and the spiritual under every circumstance we're in. And now we have to ask, well, what's the halacha? If I'm going to the hospital, what's the halacha? Can I use the door? Can I not use the door? Can we turn the light on? Can we not turn the light on? Can we use the phone? Can we not use the phone? There's all kinds of questions. How are you going to do it? So we kind of think, oh, the halacha, what a burden is this halacha? Oh, man, I got to worry about the halachas now on top of everything else. It's stressful enough to have to deliver a baby. It's stressful enough to deal with COVID-19. I got to deal with COVID-19. This doesn't seem an optimal situation. And always, and the halacha is making life very hard. And I'm trying to keep it. Got to realize, halacha, he gili ritzoynei shel Hashem. Halacha is revealing the will of Hashem. Hashem directs us in certain different situations during our lives. Hashem puts us in that situation. And the Torah also says, what does Hashem want us to do at that time? So certainly if it's before Shabbos, we try to do what we can to get to the hospital before Shabbos and try not to have to push off the Shabbos as much as possible, of course. But once it's Hashem has put us in the situation that it's Shabbos for the hospital, that's God's initial best situation. If Hashem is putting you in a situation to go to the hospital on Shabbos, because that's what Hashem wants you to do on Shabbos. It's not, how come I got to come out on Shabbos? How come I got to deal with all the halachas of Shabbos? No, Hashem wants you to be in a car and driving to the hospital on Shabbos, or to be in a taxi and work and deal with the halachas, because that's what I created the situation for. This is the midst of the moment, and that's what He wants. And He says, "Hatchusha ke'elu sh'Hashem yisparach lo merusa." But a reaction is that Hashem really doesn't like what we're doing. If He really liked me, He wouldn't make me do this on Shabbos. That idea, that distances us from Hashem. He gives another example. I'll say it at sight. Let's say on Yom Tif, Shabbos Yom Tif, you're going to forget in the benching to say Ritzei, or to forget Yalav V'Yovo. And you bench the whole thing, and you realize you forgot to say Yalav V'Yovo. So what's the halacha, guys, ladies and gentlemen? What's the halacha? You got to bench again. What usually happens when you realize you got to bench again? You go, oh, darn it. I already spent 5 minutes on benching. Now I got to do the whole thing. So what's the natural inclination? Or just fly through it the second time. You know why? Because it's already a schmoey benching. I messed up the first one. I got to do another one. Hashem's not happy with me to do it a second. Well, I just got the patience for this. Okay, I got to do it again. I'm going to say it twice as fast. You know what happens often? You forget it again. He says, no. This is not a bidiyevit situation. Obviously, if you forgot, you think you intentionally forgot? Did you on purpose say, I'm going to forget so I could say it again? No. Hashem created that you should forget. Could you have been more careful? Maybe yes, maybe no. Remember, when your mind wanders, who causes it to wander? There's a lot of times when it's Rosh Chodesh, and I say to myself, I hear the klop, Yalav V'Yovo. I know I have to say Yalav V'Yovo. And I'm thinking during Gavin, I have to say Yalav V'Yovo. I have to say Yalav V'Yovo, right? And then how come always, like right when you're coming to Ritzei, all of a sudden the Yetzer gets your mind to wander just a little bit. And usually you just start, going into almost that mode. I just caught it. Oh, I don't have to go all the way back. And then what happens to Hashem? You don't catch it till you finish taking your 3 steps back. And as soon as you take the 3rd step back, you go, oh my goodness, I forgot Yalav V'Yovo. I got to bench all over again. This is terrible. You got to realize, no. That's what Hashem wants you to daven the second time. I'm a lousy Jew. If I really cared more, I wouldn't have forgotten. Not so. There's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch. There's a halacha that if you forget benching, you got Yalav V'Yovo, certain times you got to bench over. And Hashem wants that halacha to be real. And Hashem has put you in the position that He wants you to do this halacha. And that's what He's saying. So don't think that, I did something against Hashem, I'm a bad guy, and now the second benching, it's not so great. No, the Torah connects us to Hashem, b'chol matzav ha'chaim, every situation of life. If the Torah commands us to bench a second time, then that's the will of God, and that gives Him pleasure. So the next time you forgot to bench properly, and you're going to have to bench again, you should say this little prayer. Rabbeinu Shalom, Master Universe, and I'm doing this mitzvah for you. And I'm doing the mitzvah, which means I have to bench a second time. And I know you're getting pleasure from my second benching. and then to make that second blenching with the most kavana possible. Okay, he gives another example. I just got 2 minutes. Let's do it quickly. What about in Eretz Yisrael? A lot of poor people have to marry off their children. They don't have the money. They got to borrow a lot of money. And it's not easy. And they don't know if they're going to be able to pay back. And people say, you know, why did God put me in this position that he gave me so many, daughters, let's say, which is more of a financial challenge than sons, whatever. And it's like Hashem put me in a situation that's not such a great situation. He says, Chas v'sholom. A Jew has to understand that we're always connected to God. And the worst reaction is when you feel that you want to get away from Hashem. And he says, there is no such reality. The Torah explains to us in every situation what the will of Hashem is. And Hashem gives us light for the goal of revealing God's covenant. And there's no situation where you cannot reveal the will of God in any situation. And when you have to marry off your daughter or son, and the finances are difficult, there's a Torah that says, go to your rabbi, ask for advice. He'll tell you exactly what you should do, how much money you should pay for this, and how to do this, and how to do that, and what's the halacha say, and this is the will of Hashem. And if you go every step the way you're guided to al pi halacha, every step you take, that's a step of life, because you're doing the will of Hashem. And that's what he's saying. We'll end it at this point, and we didn't finish, and we're going to leave it for before Yontif. He says, "B'chol matzav l'chaim," in every situation in life, there is the path that Hashem wants us to take. Even if you've stumbled and sinned, there is a mitzvah to do afterwards, which is called tshuva. And even if you did an aveira, and maybe temporarily are separated from Hashem, but in the moment you catch yourself and you're thinking about doing tshuva, at that point, you're going to give Hashem lots of nachas by doing tshuva. And you have to realize that when you've done the aveira, not to think that Hashem doesn't like you anymore, but to understand that Hashem realizes your weaknesses and is giving you the opportunity to do tshuva. And that you should not feel disconnected from Hashem even in those situations. Okay, this is the balance that Torah gives us. We still have yet to determine why is it that we enjoy so much food on Shavuos and a few other very fascinating issues. But we have to know that the situations Hashem puts us into are the ones to reveal his glory. And if we're still not in a shul yet, this is the optimal situation. There's halachos of how to live as a Jew, davening not in a shul. And this is not b'diavad. This is lechatchila. This is initially what Hashem wants. I must be very careful. There's a lot of people who are fighting the will of Hashem and want to rush back into the shuls. Why? Because we can't take it anymore. I want to be with my friends. Did you bother to ask God if that's his ratzon? Maybe still there's safek pikuach nefesh. That's remote, but still can happen. And Hashem still would prefer that you don't go into the shul and don't go davening in backyards yet. Why do we have so much trouble coming to terms with the situations Hashem puts us into? As if to think, Hashem, you've distanced yourself from us by not letting us go into the shuls? Maybe Hashem's saying, I want to see all the halachas that are going to come out. You know how many responses have been written that have never been written before in the history of the world? Can you daven on a porch? Can you make a wedding with 5 people in one porch, 5 people in another? This is Torah that's growing out of this. There are people doing unprecedented kindnesses that could never existed if there wasn't this coronavirus. Are we realizing that Hashem has put us into a maximum, best possible scenario of doing mitzvahs? Or we think it's all b'diavad and let's just get out of here as fast as possible. Let's get ourselves back in the shul the way it should normally be because that's the way it's supposed to be. And until it's that way, I'm not going to be happy. Got to be awfully careful. Shavuos beyond the heavens and earths. Shavuos can say, you know what? Maybe you don't go to the top of the mountain this year. Maybe just stay in your house. Maybe that's what I want. Okay, we'll have to end it over here. God willing, we will continue. Please remember, at the bottom of page 147, we'll just have enough time before Shavuos. There's still one page. Oh, only a page. Almost did the whole thing. We'll just about finish it next time. Okay, very good. Shkoyach. We're going to turn off now and then go to the Rambam class. Okay, Shkoyach, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, sei gesund.